Hello, in this video, Michael and I are going to show you how to make preserves. Before doing anything in the kitchen, he has to wash his hands. Go on, Michael, give them a good scrubbing with warm water and soap. Get stuck in, mate. Now, we have to inspect the jars. Go ahead, Michael. With your clean hands and your eagle eye, check that the glass is completely intact. No chips or cracks? Great. Now, we can wash the jars with a soft sponge and soapy water. Rinse with hot water. Yes, prep work is always boring, but it has to be done, even by Michael. We'll let the jars air dry. Jars love open air. This is a Parfait universal rubber seal. It's new and fits the jar, doesn't it? You can go ahead and drop these new seals in boiling water to sterilize them. Great. Drain and let the seals air dry. Here we have them. Organically grown beans Michael had just bought at the local farmer's market. They are as fresh as they can get. Maybe you already have some growing in your garden. Industrially produced vegetables can be full of preservatives and other additives, and freezing damages ingredients as well. Michael likes high-quality fresh products, just like us, and he likes doing things by hand. Look how their ends just snap off. Looks great, Michael. For the brine, we use salt water and nothing else. Be careful not to over-blanch your vegetables. Let's take a moment to talk about a few very important points when making preserves. We recommend that you blanch vegetables as Michael has done. And if you're cooking poultry, you must gut it entirely and wash the insides out with running water. This is absolutely essential. One last thing. Stick to the recipe's timing. The steps should follow one after the other quickly, with no interruptions. If you've lost your grandmother's faithful preserving recipe, fear not. leparfait.com has you covered. So it's ready. Have a seat. If you can't wait, try one now. But we're not done yet. Okay, put the seal carefully on the jar lid. Now we can put our magnificent beans in the jar. Remember to squeeze the beans together tightly to reduce the amount of air. It keeps the beans safe, and you're going to want to make it look nice because they're going to be around for quite a while. Now we have to work quickly and fill the jars up while the brine is still hot. Pour the brine up to the mark, about 2 centimeters from the top of the jar or tureen. Let the mixture settle in the jar before making sure that it is uniform. In fact, when using Le Parfait Familiar Vis tureens, it's best not to use brine, sauce or juice that is too acidic. Michael has just learnt that acid can corrode the metal parts of lids and sealing caps. Now, we could just cross our fingers and hope that the edge of the jar or tureen is clean. But with all the work we've put in, we'd better have a double check. While Michael is working on the edge of the jar, let's take a quick look at Le Parfait Familiar Vis tureens. Always use genuine new Le Parfait Familiar Vis sealing caps. Why? Because it is the perfect seal that guarantees to fit tight. But you don't have to show off what you've been up to at the gym and screw the lids on as tight as you can. Air must be able to escape during the heat treatment. Now that the cleaning is done, close the jars, then put them immediately through the heat treatment, if necessary. Preservation methods vary depending on the recipe. Some require the use of vinegar, oil, salt, or alcohol as preservatives. In this case, heat treatment may not be necessary. In Michael's case, his recipe does. Here, Michael is using a Le Parfait electric sterilizer and sets down our jars. By the way, remember to arrange your jars carefully so that they do not knock against one another or turn over during the heat treatment. Fill it up with hot or boiling water. It saves us time. Michael uses the sterilizer's controls to set the time and temperature. And that's it. Well done, mate. After all the work Michael has done for us, he can take a break. Often people say, I want to make preserves, but I don't have a Le Parfait electric sterilizer. Fair enough, but a pressure cooker or a large pot will work as well. Place a kitchen towel in the bottom of the pot to keep the glasses and metal from touching. Fill it up with water. When the water begins to simmer, submerge the jars completely, adding more water if you need to. Hey, stop right there. Without a Le Parfait sterilizer, you must watch the heat treatment process carefully. wait for the water to boil, or use the tap of the steam cooker to check the boiling point, and then time the heat treatment carefully. Now that the heat treatment is finished, whether you used a sterilizer or a pressure cooker, the next step is the same. You have to let the jars cool down naturally. Yeah, so you can put those ice cubes away, Michael. No stress, we just have to wait. Use the free time to do something else. Have a sit down, cup of tea maybe. Okay, the jars have cooled down and you've finally finished your tea. Now on to the next step. Now that the jars are cool to the touch, we're going to carry out a little experiment. Michael undoes the latch. See what happens? If the lid stays stuck to the jar, well done. You've preserved successfully. With the Parfait Familiar Vis terrines, try the same test by unscrewing the lid. The sealing cap should stay stuck tight to the terrine and not budge when you unscrew the lid. If this is not the case, we will have to start the heat treatment over again, and we had better to use a new sealing cap too. Moreover, we recommend that you do not screw the Parfait Familiar Vis lid back on or clasp the latch of the Parfait Super Jars when storing. Hello and welcome to customer service for poorly preserved jars and terrines. If the lid does not stay sealed tight when you undo the latch, this may be because you didn't fill the jars correctly, underfilling or overfilling, the heat treatment was incomplete, the treatment was too brief, and or temperature was not high enough. The air tightness was breached. This may result from a chip in the glass or any foreign matter or food on the edge of the jar or on the lid. You used a seal that was too old, worn out, damaged, or the wrong type. If the seal does not hold, you just need to fix the cause and redo the heat treatment with a new seal. New, clean, and in good condition. This is important. Now it's time to store our jars in a cool, dark, dry place. We use a cupboard or a shelf. If you can think of anywhere else, let us know. Here is a jar of preserves Michael made 5 months ago. Take a quick look to make sure the lid is still sealed tight. If this is not the case, the food preservation may have failed. We strongly recommend that you don't eat the contents of this jar. We're serious. To open your favorite jars, follow this simple technique, the same technique your grandma still uses. Pull the tongue of the seal to let air in. The lid is unsealed almost magically. And if you're like me and you don't have strong fingers, use the Parfait jar opener. It's easy and effortless. For Parfait Familiar Vis terrines, just pierce the sealing cap. It's child's play, but don't let them do it. So now you know everything. We thank Michael for all his help and suggest you go and enjoy your preserves.